Listening to problem solving.
Okay, guys, I need help. My old camera is broken and the warranty is expired. I spent a long time trying to figure out what to do with it, but I'm going to need to buy a new one. And as usual, until I finish school and get a good job, I'm on a tight budget. Can you come up with ideas for how and where I could buy a new camera?
I've got an old camera. Want to buy it?
No, thanks. This time I'd like to get a new, high-quality piece of equipment. But I want a good deal. Have any of you bought a camera lately? What do I need to know before I walk into a store?
Well, you don't even need to walk into a store to make a purchase. You can find bargains on the web. There are also special product magazines that have good information and ads for cameras that you order through an 800 number or, again, through a web address. And, of course, there are the general consumer publications.
Question 1.
What is the young man's dilemma?
Question 2.
What suggestion does a young man's male friend make?
Question 3.
What suggestions does the young man's female friend make? Now listen to part 2.
Okay, but you know that I'm no expert on cameras. I don't want to read really technical explanations.
Well, one thing you need to think about is whether you want a traditional or a digital camera.
If I have a digital one, I can send pictures over the web, right? And I won't need to buy film. But that's actually really all I know.
Best thing you can do then, Bill, is to go to the library and read the latest issues of the consumer magazines. They'll tell you about the features and the advantages and disadvantages of each type of camera. They keep the explanation simple because they know the average reader is not a technical genius.
Yeah, and they'll also rate different brands. It's a really good and easy way to do research when you want to buy a new product.
Also, sometimes they tell you which products are the best bargains or the best buy for the money.
Question 4.
What does the young man not want to do?
Question 5.
Where can the young man find the information that he needs?
Question 6.
What options does the young man have regarding which type of camera to buy? Now listen to part 3.
So once I research the possibilities and choose the camera I want, where do you think I can get the best price?
Sometimes online prices are better than prices in stores, but big discount stores can have really good prices too. You can check prices at comparison shopping websites. You might try doing a computer search for words like shopper, shopping, and then maybe the combination camera and shopping.
I see I've got some work to do. Thanks for all your help.
Question 7.
Where can the young man find prices for what he needs?
Question 8.
What will most likely happen next? Listening to a daily life conversation.
Hello, Matthew. Thanks for coming into the interview today. In this job, we're looking for someone who is good with children and can get them involved in after-school activities. We've read your application letter and would like to ask you some questions about yourself and why you think you would be good for the job.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's start with your background. You've worked as an instructor?
That's right. I've been a ski instructor and a snowboard instructor. I worked on 4 different mountains in the past 4 years.
I see. And what have you learned from your experiences?
What have I learned? Let me see. Well, most people don't like taking risks.
That's normal. People don't want to be in dangerous situations.
Oh, you know, but if they don't like the feeling of danger, they don't want to push themselves, so I push them. That's my job as an instructor.
I see. Well, of course, you'll be working at the school, and there are no mountains there. So what sorts of activities do you think you might suggest doing with the children?
Let me think. A great sport for young kids is skateboarding.
Isn't that a little dangerous?
Oh, no, not at all. I broke my arm a couple of times, but most kids just get cuts and bruises.
I see. Well, are there any other activities you think the children could do? They're quite young, so something safe would be better.
Something safe? Hey, how about bungee jumping?
Bungee jumping?
Yeah, off the school roof. It's perfectly safe.
You know, Matthew, some parents might not like their children jumping off the school roof. I'm not sure you're the best person for the job.
But I really want this job.
I'm really not sure why.
I need the money to buy a new snowboard.
Question 1.
What is the man getting interviewed for?
Question 2.
What did the man learn from his previous employment?
Question 3.
What best describes the man's personality?
Question 4.
What types of activities does the man suggest?
Question 5.
Why does the woman feel that the man is not a good fit for the job? Listening for information.
And now we turn to Consumer Corner, a weekly feature of interest to consumers. Here's Julie Clark, our consumer reporter, with tonight's topic. Good evening, Julie. I know you have something very interesting for us tonight.
Good evening, Bill. Good evening, viewers. Can you name the #1 consumer complaint nationwide? If you said telemarketing, you're absolutely right. Just in case you don't know what telemarketing is, it's those annoying calls that arrive as soon as you've put dinner on the table or lowered yourself into a nice hot bath.
What is telemarketing?
The term telemarketing was first used by telephone companies to promote telephone solicitation as a new and effective way to sell products and services. And although most telemarketers are honest, others are dishonest and take advantage of the situation, selling inferior products or, worse, collecting money and not delivering the merchandise ordered. Remember, telemarketers who do this are con artists, and the product they sell is a fraud.
What can we do to protect ourselves from telemarketing fraud?
Well, there are some important steps any consumer can take. First of all, the law says that telemarketers cannot call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. Next, get the name and address of the company that is calling. Also, telemarketers have to tell you that they are selling something, that this is a sales call. Con artists pretend that they are taking a survey or offering you something for free. Before you know it, they're selling you something, trying to get you to give them your credit card number. That's fraud.
Why is it such a bad idea to give them your credit card number?
Well, if the call is a fraud, and the con artist who's calling you has your name and your credit card number, he or she can use that information to charge things with your card. Your card has been stolen, but you don't even know it's been stolen. And finally, before you pay for anything over the phone, ask the telemarketer to tell you the total cost of the goods you are buying.
That's great advice. So you're saying, 1, get the name of the company, and 2, get the total price before paying. That's great advice. It should go a long way toward preventing telemarketing fraud.
Oh, and one more thing. If you suspect fraud, or if the caller insists on continuing after you said you're not interested, hang up the phone. You're not being rude. The caller is.
As always, practical advice from Julie Clark. This is Bill Bell with tonight's Consumer Corner report, thanking you for me and for Julie Clark. Good night.
Question 1.
How is telemarketing best described?
Question 2.
How do some telemarketers con us?
Question 3.
How can we prevent ourselves from being victims of fraud?
Question 4.
Why should we avoid giving important information over the telephone?
Question 5.
What should we ask a telemarketer last?
Question 6.
What action should we take if a telemarketer insists on selling to us?
Part 6. Listening to a news item.
It was a hot, sunny day. The waves off Santa Barbara were almost 3 feet high because of a distant Pacific storm. Surfers were having fun. Then the fun ended. One surfer started yelling. Surfers on the beach saw him swinging his arms. He went underwater. Then he came back up, shouting for help. He was in big trouble, said one woman on shore. She called 911. He was still shouting and fighting. They could not see a shark, but they knew the surfer was being attacked by one. Again, the surfer went under. 4 surfers hopped onto their boards and swam rapidly out to the surfer. By the time they got to him, he was alone. The shark had given up on the taste of the rubber wetsuit and the battle that the surfer had put up. The 24-year-old man was groaning in pain, but he was still alive. The surfers put him on a board and paddled back to shore. "I don't think he's going to make it," said someone on the beach. "Look at that leg." A helicopter arrived shortly afterward. Paramedics hopped out and examined the victim. They thanked the surfers and the woman for their aid and put the man into the chopper. A hospital spokesman said an hour later that the surfer would survive. He was in fair condition. Meanwhile, because there was nothing they could do, and because the waves were still good, most of the surfers were out on their boards.
Listening to a news item. You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long.
A group of protesters gathered at the local racetrack yesterday, asking people to sign a petition they intended to take to City Hall. The petition requested that a newly erected billboard advertising the racetrack be removed. Protesters claimed that the sign, with its blinking lights and animation of a racing horse, is highly distracting. Gillian Smith, spokesperson for the group, pointed out that the human eye is naturally attracted to bright lights and movement. She said that when you're driving on the highway, that's a very bad thing. Smith went on to say that using a cell phone while driving is now illegal because of the distraction factor. Therefore, she said, roadside billboard advertising should also be illegal, especially when it is designed to take our attention off the road. The owner of the racetrack initially refused to comment, but when pressed, he insisted there was nothing wrong with his sign. He pointed out there's no law against it, so he sees no obligation to take it down. Police could neither confirm nor disconfirm that roadside billboards are a contributing factor in highway accidents.
Listening to a discussion.
Excuse me, I'm looking for someone who can help me with the textbook reservation program.
Oh, well, I can do that. What do you need?
Okay, my friend told me that I could get used books if I pre-order them now.
That's right. You want to do that?
I think so, but I'm not sure how it works.
Actually, it's fairly straightforward. We have a short form for you to fill out. Do you know what you're going to take next semester?
Yeah, I do.
And you have the course names and the schedule numbers for all your classes?
Uh-huh.
Okay, then. Just put that information down on the form and make a check mark in the box if you want recommended books as well as required books.
Uh-huh.
And you said you were interested in used books, right?
Right.
So mark the box for used books, sign the form, and bring it back to me.
Do I have to pay now, or do you want a deposit?
No, you can pay when you pick up the books.
And when can I do that?
The week before classes begin.
That's good, but, what if I change my schedule? I mean, I don't plan to, but...
It happens. Don't worry. If you change classes, you can just bring the books back anytime 2 weeks from the first day of class to get a full refund. Of course, you'll need the original cash register receipt and a photo ID. And if it's a new book, you can't have any marks in it. But you said you wanted used books, so it won't matter.
Yeah, that's the main reason why I want to do this, because I'll have a better chance to get used books.
If there are used books available and you mark the form, that's what we'll pull for you.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll just fill this out and bring it back to you later today. I don't have all the numbers with me, the section numbers for the classes.
Fine. We need those numbers because when different professors are teaching the same class, they don't always order the same books.
Right. So, will you be here this afternoon?
I probably will, but if I'm not, just give the form to the person in this office. Don't give it to one of the student employees, though. They're usually very good about getting the forms back to the office, but sometimes it gets really busy and, well, you know how it is.
Sure. Well, I'll bring it back to the office myself.
That's probably a good idea. And, one more thing. I should tell you that the used books tend to go first. So if you want to be sure that you get used books...
You know what? I'm going to go right back to the dorm to get those numbers now, while you're still here.
Okay, that's good.
Listening to a daily life conversation.
Hi, I'm waiting for the number 87 bus that goes by Main Street. Do you know if this is the right stop?
Yes, it is the right stop, but apparently we both just missed the bus. I'm just checking the transit schedule on my phone, and it came by 5 minutes ago. even though it says it should be here right now. I guess it came early. The next one comes in half an hour.
Oh, darn. I'm going to be late for my business meeting. I would have driven to work today, but my car got a flat tire last night. I think I drove over a nail or something.
That's too bad. Is your car the red Honda parked on the side of Woodsworth Avenue?
Yes, it is.
We're neighbors then. I noticed a red Honda with a flat tire outside my house this morning.
I live up the street on the next block, but the tire rim was scraping on the ground, and I didn't want to damage it. Is it okay if I park in front of your house until I get it fixed?
Leave it as long as you like. Did you move here recently? I don't think I've seen you before.
1 month exactly today. I used to live downtown, but I prefer it out here, where there's more nature.
I like living out here as well. The only real drawback is that commuting to the city takes a lot longer.
It would be okay if only transit was reliable. I'm really late. Maybe I should just take a cab. Are you going to Main Street as well? Did you want to split a cab there?
That would be great, actually. I'm meeting a friend for lunch, and I don't want to keep him waiting.
That works out perfectly then. I'll just call a cab now.
Question 1.
How long have the man and woman known each other?
Question 2.
Why is the woman worried?
Question 3.
Where do the man and woman live?
Question 4.
Why is the woman taking the bus to work?
Question 5.
How do they get to Main Street?
Listening to viewpoints.
Good morning, everyone. Now, whether you're going to university to study business or some other subject, many of you will eventually end up working for a company of some kind. Now, when you first start working somewhere, you will realize that the organization you've joined has certain characteristics. And we often refer to these social characteristics as the culture of the organization. This includes its unwritten ideas, beliefs, values, and things like that. One well-known writer has classified company cultures by identifying 4 major types. The first type is called the power culture, and it's usually found in small organizations. It's the type of culture that needs a central source of power to be effective. And because control is in the hands of just 1 or 2 people, there aren't many rules or procedures. Another characteristic is that communication usually takes the form of conversations rather than, say, formal meetings or written memos. Now, one of the benefits of this culture is that the organization has the ability to act quickly, so it responds well to threat or danger on the one hand, and opportunity on the other. But on the negative side, this type of organization doesn't always act effectively, because it depends too much on 1 or 2 people at the top. And when these people make poor decisions, There's no one else who can influence them. And the kind of person who does well in this type of business culture is one who is happy to take risks, and for whom job security is a low priority. The next type is known as role culture. That's R-O-L-E, not R-O-L-L, by the way. And this type is usually found in large companies, which have lots of different levels in them. These organizations usually have separate departments that specialize in things like finance or sales or maintenance or whatever. Each one is coordinated at the top by a small group of senior managers, and typically everyone's job is controlled by sets of rules and procedures. For example, there are specific job descriptions, rules for discipline, and so on. What are the benefits of this kind of culture? Well, firstly, because it's found in large organizations, its fixed costs, or overheads as they're known, are low in relation to its output, or what it produces. In other words, it can achieve economies of scale. And secondly, it is particularly successful in business markets where technical expertise is important. On the other hand, this culture is often very slow to recognize the need for change, and even slower to react. What kind of person does this type of culture suit? Well, it suits employees who value security and who don't particularly want to have responsibility. Moving on now to task cultures. This type is found in organizations that are project-oriented. You usually find it where the market for the company's product is extremely competitive, or where the products themselves have a short lifespan. Usually, top management delegates the projects, the people, and other resources, and once these have been allocated, little day-to-day control is exercised from the top, because this would seem like breaking the rules. Now, one of the major benefits of this culture is that it's flexible, but it does have some major disadvantages, too. For instance, it can't produce economies of scale or great depth of expertise. People who like working in groups or teams prefer this type of culture. And finally, the fourth category is called the person culture.